Susan Kaiser Greenland, an innovator in the field of mindfulness, has revolutionized how families, educators, and children approach emotional regulation and mental well-being. Through her pioneering work, she has made mindfulness more accessible, especially to young children, who often lack the tools to navigate their emotional landscapes. Her journey, rooted in both personal discovery and professional evolution, is not only inspiring but also deeply transformative in its scope. Imagine the potential of a world where children, from a young age, are equipped with the mindfulness tools they need to thrive emotionally and mentally. Could this be the key to a more compassionate and balanced society? Personal and professional background. From law to mindfulness, the legal world, Susan Kaiser Greenland's entry into mindfulness was not something planned or immediate. She began her professional career as a high-powered attorney, working in an environment where stress, long hours, and emotional turmoil were part of the daily grind. Just think of the intensity and pressure in the world of law. It's a world where success often comes at the cost of mental well-being, and it's no wonder that she, like many others, found herself seeking something deeper, more meaningful. As a lawyer, Susan had an exceptional intellectual capacity, but as the years wore on, she found that the constant need for mental sharpness and emotional toughness drained her in ways she hadn't expected. And really, how many of us can relate to that? How many people chase success only to find themselves worn out, emotionally exhausted, and wondering if there's something more fulfilling? A personal crisis, a pathway to mindfulness. For Susan, it was this nagging sense of emptiness and the increasing stress of her career that led her to explore mindfulness. What started as a personal exploration soon became a life-changing discovery. Isn't it fascinating how sometimes, in our darkest moments of stress or dissatisfaction, we find the very thing that transforms our lives? For Susan, mindfulness was that discovery. She realized it didn't just reduce her stress, it transformed her relationship with herself, her emotions, and the world around her. As Susan deepened her mindfulness practice, she began to see the potential benefits for others, especially children. She recognized something that might seem so simple but is often overlooked. Many of the emotional challenges adults face are rooted in childhood. What if we could teach mindfulness to children at an early age? What if we could give them the tools to manage their emotions before they develop harmful patterns of behavior or thought? The potential here is huge. Her transition from law to mindfulness advocacy was not an easy one, but it was driven by passion. Can you imagine the courage it took to leave a stable, lucrative career to pursue something as seemingly intangible as teaching mindfulness? And yet, she did just that. She didn't just want mindfulness for herself, she wanted to share it with the world, starting with the most important audience, children. Why mindfulness for children? The case for early emotional development. One of the key realizations that guided Susan's work was the understanding that children, just like adults, face stress every day. From school pressures to family dynamics, to simply navigating social relationships, kids are constantly dealing with emotional challenges. But here's the thing, children often don't have the same tools that adults have, or should have, to regulate their emotions. Have you ever seen a child throw a tantrum, get frustrated over something small, or become overwhelmed by feelings they don't understand? Of course, you have. Now imagine if that same child was taught, at an early age, how to observe their feelings without being swept away by them. Imagine a world where children are given the tools to stay grounded in the midst of emotional storms. It's a game changer. Susan recognized that teaching children mindfulness early on could potentially prevent many of the emotional and psychological difficulties that manifest in adulthood. It's such a profound realization when you think about it. Instead of waiting until we're adults to learn how to manage our emotions, why not start when we're kids? The science behind early mindfulness. Susan wasn't alone in this insight. Neuroscience has backed up her claims. Studies show that childhood is a critical period for brain development, and the introduction of mindfulness practices at this stage can have long-term positive effects. Kids who practice mindfulness not only become more emotionally resilient but also develop stronger cognitive skills. That's right, mindfulness can actually make kids smarter. Isn't that mind-blowing? Mindfulness doesn't just help us stay calm, it helps us think more clearly, learn more effectively, and interact more compassionately with others. Research has found that mindfulness helps children improve their ability to focus, reduces anxiety, and enhances emotional regulation. With these tools, children can navigate their world more effectively, setting the foundation for a lifetime of emotional intelligence and mental well-being. Imagine what it would be like if mindfulness were taught in every classroom, in every home, to every child. Would we have fewer conflicts? Fewer instances of bullying? A more compassionate society overall? The potential is endless, and it's this vision that has driven Susan Kaiser Greenland's work for decades, incorporating Buddhist principles in a secular context, adapting ancient wisdom for modern audiences. One of the most fascinating aspects of Susan's work is how she has taken principles rooted in Buddhist meditation and adapted them for a secular, modern audience. It's not easy to take ancient spiritual practices and make them relevant and accessible to today's families, schools, and institutions, but Susan has done just that. She's taken the core teachings of mindfulness, compassion, and loving kindness and transformed them into tools that anyone, regardless of their background or beliefs, can use. Isn't that brilliant? At the heart of her teachings are three key Buddhist principles: mindfulness, sati being fully present in the moment, compassion, karu cultivating empathy and care for oneself and others, loving kindness, metta developing a deep, genuine wish for the well-being of others. What's beautiful about these concepts is that they don't have to be religious. They are universal human qualities that can benefit everyone, especially children. Susan has found ways to introduce these ideas in playful, engaging ways that children can easily understand and relate to. Mindfulness, sati. Susan teaches children mindfulness through simple exercises like focusing on their breath or paying attention to their surroundings. Can you picture a group of energetic kids, taking a moment to focus on their breath, calming their minds, and being present in the moment? It's a beautiful sight, isn't it? These exercises help children develop the ability to stay calm and focused, even when life around them gets hectic. And this is such an important skill for children and adults to have. Especially in today's fast-paced, constantly connected world, compassion, karu, compassion is a central theme in Susan's work. She encourages children to cultivate compassion for themselves and others. This doesn't just help them form healthier relationships, but it also aids in their emotional development by teaching them how to respond to difficult emotions like anger or frustration with kindness rather than reactivity. Can you imagine the impact this could have on a child's life? Learning to be kind to themselves and others from an early age would dramatically change how they navigate the world. Loving kindness, metta. The practice of loving kindness involves wishing well for oneself and others. In Susan's programs, children participate in exercises where they send kind thoughts to people in their lives. It's such a simple yet profound practice. Imagine teaching a child to close their eyes and send love to their parents, their friends, and even to themselves. The result? A child who grows up feeling connected, compassionate, and less isolated. Doesn't that sound like the foundation for a better world? The Inner Kids program, a groundbreaking contribution, playful, engaging, and deeply transformative. One of Susan's most significant contributions to the world of mindfulness education is the Inner Kids program, which provides a structured framework for teaching mindfulness to children in ways that are both fun and developmentally appropriate. Isn't it amazing how something as profound as mindfulness can be taught through play? Susan believes that mindfulness is not something to be imposed on children but something they can grow into naturally through games and activities that spark their curiosity and creativity. The Inner Kids program focuses on three core areas: attention, helping children develop the ability to focus and stay present; emotional balance, teaching children how to regulate their emotions and respond thoughtfully instead of reacting impulsively; compassion, cultivating empathy and care for others. These three pillars are central to children's emotional and cognitive development, and Susan's program addresses them in a way that feels natural and engaging for kids. Attention, mindful breathing and present moment awareness. one of the most common exercises in the Inner Kids program is mindful breathing. It's such a simple practice, yet it can have a profound effect on a child's ability to concentrate and stay grounded. Imagine a classroom of children, all sitting quietly, paying attention to their breath. They learn to observe the rise and fall of their chest, the sensation of air entering and leaving their nostrils. This simple practice teaches them to anchor themselves in the present moment, and over time, it improves their ability to focus on schoolwork, friendships, and even their emotions. Wouldn't it be wonderful if all children were taught this kind of mindfulness in school? How much more focused and present would they be? Not just in the classroom but in all areas of life. Emotional balance, observing emotions without being overwhelmed. Another key component of the Inner Kids program is teaching children how to recognize and label their emotions without becoming overwhelmed by them. Have you ever seen a child throw a tantrum, unable to control their emotions? Of course, you have. We all have. But imagine if that same child could step back, observe their anger, and recognize it for what it is, just a temporary feeling that will pass. That's the kind of emotional intelligence Susan is teaching kids. Through mindfulness, children learn that emotions, even difficult ones, are part of being human. They don't need to be feared or suppressed. They just need to be observed. Isn't that such a liberating realization? For a child to learn that they don't have to be controlled by their emotions, that they have the power to choose how they respond, this is a gift that will last a lifetime. Compassion and empathy, cultivating kindness through loving-kindness practices. One of the unique aspects of the Inner Kids program is its focus on compassion. Susan believes that children are naturally compassionate, but they sometimes need guidance in cultivating this quality. Through exercises like loving-kindness meditation, children are encouraged to send kind thoughts to others, fostering a sense of connection and empathy. Can you imagine a child sitting quietly, thinking of their parents, their friends, and even people they may have disagreements with, and sending them kind thoughts? It's such a beautiful practice, and it teaches children to see others not as adversaries, but as fellow human beings worthy of kindness and compassion. The impact this could have on reducing bullying, building empathy, and fostering stronger social bonds is immeasurable. The Mindful Child and Mindful Games, groundbreaking books, two essential guides for parents and educators. Susan Kaiser Greenland's work is not just limited to her programs. She has also shared her wisdom and insights through two groundbreaking books, The Mindful Child and Mindful Games, both of which have become essential resources for parents, educators, and anyone interested in bringing mindfulness into a child's life. The Mindful Child, this book is a comprehensive guide for parents and educators on how to introduce mindfulness to children. It's filled with practical exercises and techniques that can help children cope with anxiety, improve their concentration, and enhance their emotional well-being. One of the key messages of the book is that mindfulness is not just about quieting the mind, it's about cultivating awareness of thoughts, emotions, and actions. Isn't that such a powerful message for children? Susan offers parents and teachers a step-by-step guide on how to incorporate mindfulness into a child's daily life. It's not about forcing kids to sit in meditation for hours, but about finding creative, playful ways to teach them these essential life skills. Mindful Games. In this follow-up book, Susan offers over 50 activities and games that make mindfulness fun and engaging for kids. Each game is designed to teach core mindfulness skills such as focus, emotional regulation, and empathy. For example, one game, The Mind Jar, involves shaking a jar filled with water and glitter, symbolizing how our minds can get clouded by thoughts and emotions. As the glitter settles, children learn that their minds can also settle and become clear if they give themselves time to pause and reflect. Isn't that such a powerful visual metaphor for a child? Watching the glitter settle helps them understand that their emotions, too, will eventually settle if they give themselves the space to pause and breathe. This is the kind of practical, playful wisdom that makes Susan's work so impactful. Scientific validation and collaboration, the science behind mindfulness. One of the things that sets Susan Kaiser Greenland's work apart is that it's not just based on ancient wisdom, it's backed by modern science. Over the past few decades, there has been a growing body of research on the benefits of mindfulness for children. Studies have shown that mindfulness practices can improve children's attention, enhance emotional regulation, and even increase cognitive function. Isn't it exciting to know that something as simple as mindful breathing can have such a profound impact on a child's brain? Susan collaborates with neuroscientists, psychologists, and educators to ensure that her programs are grounded in the latest scientific research. This interdisciplinary approach has allowed her to refine her mindfulness techniques over time, making them even more effective and accessible. And it's not just about the immediate benefits. Research has shown that mindfulness can have long-term positive effects on brain development, emotional health, and social relationships. The neuroscience of mindfulness. One area of research that has been particularly exciting is the neuroscience of mindfulness. Studies using brain imaging techniques have shown that mindfulness practices can actually change the structure of the brain, strengthening the areas involved in attention, emotional regulation, and empathy. This is known as neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to reorganize itself by forming new neural connections. Isn't it incredible to think that teaching children mindfulness can actually shape their brains for the better? The scientific validation of mindfulness practices has been a key factor in the growing acceptance of mindfulness programs in schools and other educational settings. Teachers, parents, and school administrators are increasingly recognizing the benefits of mindfulness for children's academic performance, emotional well-being, and social interactions, impact on education and parenting. A ripple effect in families and schools. The impact of Susan Kaiser Greenland's work extends far beyond the children who directly participate in her mindfulness programs. One of the most significant ripple effects of her work is the way it has transformed the relationship between children, parents, and teachers. For parents, practicing mindfulness with their children offers a new way of connecting with them. Think about how many families struggle with stress, frustration, and disconnection. Now imagine those same families sitting down together for a few minutes of mindful breathing or engaging in a loving-kindness meditation. It creates a shared experience of calm, patience, and mutual understanding. How much stronger would the parent-child bond be if mindfulness became a regular part of family life? In schools, mindfulness programs based on Susan's work have been shown to improve classroom dynamics. Teachers report that children who practice mindfulness are more focused, cooperative, and empathetic. Wouldn't it be wonderful if every school incorporated mindfulness into their daily routine? How much more peaceful and productive would classrooms be? Mindfulness as a parenting tool. Mindfulness is not just for kids, it's for parents, too. One of the things Susan emphasizes is that parents can benefit just as much from mindfulness as their children. Parenting is stressful, and it's easy to get caught up in the daily grind of work, school, and family responsibilities. But when parents take a moment to pause, breathe, and be present with their children, it can transform their relationship. Susan's work has helped many parents discover the power of mindfulness as a parenting tool. By practicing mindfulness with their children, parents can model emotional regulation, patience, and compassion. And isn't that what every parent wants for their child? To teach them how to navigate the ups and downs of life with grace and resilience? Long-term benefits and legacy, a vision for the future. Looking forward, the impact of Susan Kaiser Greenland's work is likely to continue shaping the field of mindfulness education for years to come. By introducing mindfulness to children at an early age, she is helping to foster a generation of individuals who are more self-aware, emotionally resilient, and compassionate. The long-term benefits of mindfulness education are profound. Children who learn mindfulness early on are better equipped to handle stress, navigate relationships, and make thoughtful decisions. This, in turn, can reduce the prevalence of mental health issues, improve academic performance, and foster healthier social relationships. But the impact goes even further than that. By teaching children mindfulness, we are planting the seeds for a more compassionate and peaceful society. Just imagine what the world could look like if mindfulness were a regular part of every child's education. We would have a generation of individuals who are more in tune with themselves, more connected to others, and more capable of navigating the complexities of life with wisdom and compassion. Susan's legacy. Susan Kaiser Greenland's legacy is not only the immediate effects of her teachings but also the broader cultural shift toward mindfulness and emotional intelligence in education and parenting. Her work has inspired countless educators, parents, and mindfulness practitioners to bring mindfulness into the lives of children. And her influence continues to grow as more schools, families, and communities recognize the transformative power of mindfulness. Through her books, programs, and collaborations, Susan has made mindfulness accessible to children and their families in a way that is both practical and transformative. Her work is helping to create a future where mindfulness is not just a practice for adults but a lifelong skill that children can develop from an early age. Isn't that a future worth striving for? Conclusion. Susan Kaiser Greenland's contributions to the field of mindfulness are profound and far-reaching. By integrating Buddhist meditation principles into child-friendly programs, she has created a path for children and families to develop emotional regulation, self-awareness, and empathy. Her work, backed by both ancient wisdom and modern science, continues to inspire educators, parents, and mindfulness practitioners, shaping the future of how we understand and teach emotional well-being to the next generation. Through her books, teachings, and programs, Greenland has made mindfulness accessible to children and their families in a way that is both practical and transformative. And as we look to the future, the impact of her work will only continue to grow, creating a world where mindfulness is a natural and essential part of childhood. Imagine the possibilities.